I have created a personal AI assistant that acts as a researcher as well as annotating my TradingView charts. Listen, this completely blows Codex, GPT, and Claude out of the window. Nothing even comes close. Every morning, I get a report understanding exactly what I need to understand about the macro sentiment. While I'm in the gym, well, then my agent is actively working on analyzing TradingView and doing my markups for me. It can do pretty much whatever I want, and it essentially acts as the best trading mentor I have ever seen. Now, what I'm talking about here is, of course, the new GrokBot. Okay, this has only been out for a few weeks, yet I think it completely blows, Claude out the window. So I have, in fact, canceled my Claude subscription and then moved over to Grok. Now, previously, this was really expensive. However, that has recently changed entirely. Again, right now, they are offering a free trial with limited usage so that you can check it out for yourself without having to pay a dime. Now, this is comparable to something like Claude Cowork. However, again, I think, Cowork does not even come close. So again, the first thing you're going to do is simply search up GrokBot download within any given browser. I'm then going to click the link right here from x.ai. And again, we have a few different options. If you're on Windows, you can download it for Windows. Again, I'm on the MacBook, so I'm just going to click download for Mac OS. So this is what it looks like when you first open it up. Of course, you got to do your pricing plan. You got to log in and whatnot. Now, I highly recommend that you watch this video before you decide to purchase anything so that you can see what it's truly capable of. So again, right now I have two agents. I have my technical analyst, which is exactly where I do my TradingView markups. And then I, of course, have my market researcher. Now, let's start here by just looking at the market researcher. So I have, as you guys can see out here to the right, created a routine called Crypto Morning Brief. Now, every single morning, I sit at my desk, I read through a bunch of articles, and I get a grasp of the overall macro sentiment. However, now I don't have to do that because, again, I have created this routine. So you can see the instructions here: produce Malik's daily crypto morning brief and send it within this chat. The time zone is Atlantic, and we run the crypto brief skill. Hard cap, readable in 2 minutes, simple wording, labels and facts, no over-explaining, no essays, no filters, and so on. In other words, every single morning, right, I will get a report like this, and you guys can see just how simple I've made it. The regime is risk on, right, which means people are now willing to put on more risk given the immense crypto pump we've recently seen. Bitcoin is overall bullish, liquidity is stable, leverage is normal. What has changed? Well, we can see the Bitcoin price changes. We can see the 10-year yield price changes. We can see that the rate hike odds went up 40%, and crypto is in fact ignoring that. And the Monday ETF print at the time of this report was in fact not out yet. We have all the macro things here: the rates, the inflation, the Fed, the dollar. We have stable coins. We have today's news, the agenda for today and what's actually important for an asset like Bitcoin, headlines, and what we need to watch out for. Again, in this case, that was Besant and oil at 6 p.m. So again, this is just one of the many things, and it quite literally took me about 2 minutes to set up, and I'll show you exactly how I did it. So what I did here is very simple. I click on the plus icon up here, and I create a new bot. So you can pretty much name this whatever you please. This one is just called New Bot. And I have created a prompt that will ensure you will receive the exact same macro report that I do. So again, you can do this in one of two ways. You can either come up here into the right side of the screen. You can click it here, and then you can click create routine. You can give it a name and, of course, instructions. We can also add a trigger here. So when do we need to run this? Well, that could be every hour, every day, on weekdays, every week, every month, intervals. We could even connect it to specific Slack messages. So again, whenever a message gets sent in a specific Slack channel, well, then the report will get generated. For example, if I was working for a firm and I had a chat with my superior, well, then I could essentially connect my GrokBot to the Slack channel with my superior, and whenever he sent a message in the morning, well, then this would generate a report for him. So again, there's pretty much nothing you can't do, but you can also do it the simple way and pretty much just say, hey Grok, can you please schedule what I'm about to text you as a routine for 8 a.m. every single day of the week, Atlantic time? And now I'm going to paste the entire prompt, which you can of course find a link for down below, and I'm essentially just going to send this right over to Grok. So again, this way is a lot faster because we have everything we need, right? Every morning. So, 7 days a week at 8 a.m. Atlantic/Canary time. And here it is. Got it. Daily, 8 a.m. every day, including weekend. Same shape you just sent, saving that now. So tomorrow when I wake up, well, then I will essentially have a macro report ready for me to read based on my own criteria. Now, this was something that previously took me 45 minutes to an hour per day. So if you're serious about your trading, well, then this is definitely something you have to do. If you're interested in keeping up with your investments and the direction of those investments, well, then this is definitely something you have to do. And again, you can change this entirely, right? You can, for example, also ask it to give you notifications every single time Bitcoin crosses a certain level. But what we can also do is something very cool. We can actually combine our market research agent with our technical analyst. So if I, for example, ask a technical question within my market research, he will then talk with my agent, which is, experienced within technical analysis. So again, you could potentially have your market researcher talk with your technical analyst, and then through that, have it notify you every single time a support level is broken on the daily time frame within whatever asset it is you're monitoring. Now, let's create a new technical analyst because I want to show you exactly how you connect your TradingView to GrokBot and how you control it. So we're going to come up here. We're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to create a new bot. This one, we can just title, for example, TradingView X GrokBot. Now, what we're going to do here is very simple relative to other AI models. I'm just going to tell it, hey, I would like for you to control my TradingView. We can do it through your browser. Could you please take me through this? So this is going to be very simple. These agents, because it's an agent, essentially operate within their own computer. We can access their computer, log into our TradingView, and therefore they have access. So here you go. Yep, we can run TradingView from my browser, and then first he'll check if there's a connector. Now, something else I've noticed with the GrokBot relative to something like Claude or ChatGPT is, for example, with emails. I can link 5 of my emails to my one agent, whereas with ChatGPT, you can only link 1 at a time. And then this can go through all of my emails within 5 different ones and tell me exactly what I need to know. So again, it says right here that TradingView is already signed in on my computer and he is now checking whose account it is. So you guys can see that I'm already logged in, right? You're signed in as me on Essential. I can drive the charts from here now. So again, this is not the case for you. So what you're going to say is, can I please log into a different account? Most likely it is not connected to any account, and you'll see exactly how I ensure that it is connected to the correct one. Okay, so you can see here that it has now signed out of my account, and what I can do now is take over the screen, right? So I click the button, and now I'm essentially controlling Grok's browser. So what I'm going to do now, because my TradingView is attached to my Google account, right? I'm simply going to click this button and then I'm going to sign in with whatever Google account I prefer. For me, it is the top one. So I'm going to click that. Now, for some of you, it might look like this. All you do from here is come up to this icon and you click sign in. And again, you do the exact same thing. You either go with your email address or you use your Google account. And here we go. So I am now logged into my TradingView account. GrokBot therefore has access to it. And I'm then going to click up here in the right corner. I am done. Continue. So what I can do now is tell it exactly what I want. Hey, can you open up Bitcoin on a daily time frame, delete any existing drawings, mark out all the crucial support and resistance levels, but I also want you to deeply study liquidity, fair value gaps, and order blocks. Once you understand exactly what those concepts are all about, I want you to mark out the crucial ones within the chart, the important liquidity, the important fair value gaps, and I want you to do so with picture perfect accuracy. For the lows, I want you to use the horizontal ray. For the fair value gaps, I want you to use the rectangle tool. Now, while you do this, I'm going to go to the gym, and when I come back, I want to see the Bitcoin chart and the analysis on it. So again, this was just a quick brief message. You can, of course, optimize this way further than I did here. But again, we're just doing this as an example. So let's try and send this message in, and in a few minutes, well, then Grok should have pulled up the Bitcoin chart on a daily time frame and done exactly as I told it to do. Now, while Grok is doing that, I want to show you how we can actually combine our technical analyst with our market researcher. So the way that we do this is we come up here into the plus icon, and then we add, instead of a new bot, which we did previously, we're going to add a new channel. So in the channel, we could, for example, select TradingView X GrokBot, which is the one that's currently marking out Bitcoin, and we can choose our market researcher. Okay, we can now name this the ultimate update, right? And then we can create it. So the reason why we want to do this is because this allows for our two agents to have a discussion together. One of them is, an expert within the macro environment. That's, again, our market researcher. And the other one is an expert within technical analysis. Now, what you can do is, of course, train it, right? You can quite literally teach it everything about your strategy so it understands exactly what to look for. So, again, an important feature that you guys should definitely check out. And you can do way more with it. You can also introduce, a risk bot. One that specifically measures whether this is a risk on or risk off day. And you can essentially have an entire group chat full of agents that will just, spend their time giving you the best analysis possible. And believe me, what we've done here, right, is very, very brief. You can quite literally send this pages and pages and examples of your own strategy so that your GrokBot knows exactly how you trade and can therefore mark up whatever asset it is that you want with your exact strategy. So it can get to a point where you barely have to check TradingView any longer because your GrokBot will simply send you a notification every single time your specific strategy is, present on whatever asset you prefer. Now, gentlemen, if you want a specific guide on how to optimize the GrokBot, how to get my personal trading journal, which you can, by the way, automate through AI, alongside an entire ebook, an entire video course that I literally spent months creating, and much, much more, well then, ladies and gentlemen, check out the link down below. Right now, there's 20% off, and I'd love to see each and every one of you in there. It is done. Now, it took some time, I will admit. GrokBot is just slightly slower than all the other models, but again, I also asked it for a lot. So we received a screenshot of what it looks like, but that's not what we're interested in. You see, we are smart. We could have, had GrokBot just deliver screenshots to us, but we did the opposite, right? We actually logged into our TradingView through the GrokBot browser, which now means if I open up TradingView, this is exactly what my daily time frame looks like, and I'm honestly quite impressed. So we have the Bitcoin order block right up here alongside the fair value gap. We have buy side liquidity at 82,850. We have all the fair value gaps in the recent bullish legs, right? We have sell side liquidity here, we have sell side liquidity here, and this was all done in a few minutes with perhaps the simplest prompt I could have delivered. Now, this next thing I'm going to show you is one of the most crazy things you will ever experience, because sure, right, you could send over a document to GrokBot, it could learn your strategy and so on, but what I recommend doing alongside that is recording your trading sessions. So if we come into GrokBot and we come down here, we can either attach files, which is not what we're interested in, or we can teach a task. If I click this button now, it will record my screen, and GrokBot will essentially look at me, understand what I'm doing, and then teach the agent exactly how I operate. So before a trading session starts, I can, for example, click this button, record my screen, trade as I normally do, and therefore teach my GrokBot agent exactly how I trade, how I operate. For example, right now, this text is way too large, right? Maybe, I like to extend my fair value gaps more than this. All these minor details and my strategy as a whole, he would know much better had he watched, exactly how I trade. We could even, come up here, right? We could, again, create a routine, and we could call this, daily morning analysis, right? And so what we could then do in instructions is tell our technical analysis bot, hey, every single morning, I want you to do the markup analysis on a 15-minute time frame. I want you to map the overnight high, the overnight low, the previous day high, the previous day low, mark out all the equal highs, all the equal lows, and significant fair value gaps within the leg. So ladies and gentlemen, that is essentially how I created my own personal trading assistant. What I showed you in this video is very, very brief. We can take it so much further than that. For example, by teaching it exactly how we trade, sending over literal courses for this to study, setting up the instructions with a routine every morning that marks out all the stuff that you normally look at. It could be session highs and lows, overnight, highs and lows, previous day highs and lows, and whatever else you want. We simultaneously set up a market research bot that essentially gives us a market brief from a macro point of view, and I showed you how to combine the two into one big group. So again, ladies and gentlemen, this is, in my opinion, the best model out there for regular people who want to utilize AI agents to their advantage. And if you're a trader watching this video, well, then I believe you're already ahead of the curve, because this is the one industry where people simply are not implementing AI where they could, which is also why I have shown people within my private community, which you can find a link for down below, by the way, how to automate your entire journaling process so you no longer have to do it manually. You simply enter a voice message and everything is handled within your journal for you. So again, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to like it, subscribe to the channel, and at least show up in our next video.